Hi, I'm Jamie from Bunny.net, and in this video I'd like to show you Bunny Database, a SQLite-compatible database that works over HTTP, powered by libsql. We'll learn how to connect this to a simple front end, query it from our terminal using the libsql client, and how we can make requests over HTTP for when there are times we don't have a client library for our framework or language. If that sounds interesting, let's dive right in. To get started, head on over to bunny.net, get started and create an account, or log in if you already have one. Once you're logged in, databases are part of the developer platform, and from the left we can add a new database. It's really simple to create a database. All you need to do is give it a name and choose the region. We can choose from automatic, single region deployment, or manual region selection. Single deployment allows us to select a location for our database and where it lives. Manual region selection allows us to select where our data is stored and which regions are enabled for any replicas and primaries, which gives you full control over where your data is. But for the purposes of this video, we'll go with the simplest way, which is to allow Bunny to automatically select the location for your database based on requests. When you're ready, click Add Database and we'll get immediate access to our URL and access tokens. Also at this stage, we can also connect it to an existing Edge script or Edge function that's hosted with Bunny. And we can also add the environment variables to a Magic Container app if you have something deployed with Docker over on Magic Containers. And finally, in this video, we'll be using one of the SDKs here, but if you want more info on how to connect Bunny database with your application and language, you can choose one of the SDKs here. Now our database is created, here we are inside of the database editor. We can run SQL statements using the UI here, and once these are created, we'll then be able to see the different tables on the left that we can open and see and insert data for. So instead of our products table, we can add a new row. We can give it the information that satisfies the schema that we ran previously. For anything that's connected between tables, here we can see the join reference and the details on hover. You can also access things like metrics to see how many rows have been read and written, as well as the average latency and your database size. Also, if you need to generate new tokens or regenerate your tokens and revoke the previous ones, you can do that in the access panel. And of course, links to all of the SDKs that are supported are here. Now we've got our database, let's wire it up to a simple front end. We'll use the libsql client and run a few queries and display the results. Here I am inside of my code editor, and if we open the env file that we downloaded from Bunny, here we have our database URL and token. Next, let's install the libsql client dependency using bun. You can use npm, pnpm, or any other package manager. Then, inside of index.ts, we'll import create client from the libsql client. Then we can invoke create client and instantiate Bunny database. Here we'll pass it the URL and the auth token from our environment variables. Then we can call execute on Bunny database, and here we'll select all of our products from a database that we created previously. And if we run this in the terminal, we can see here the console log outputs our ID, name, price, and stock for those products that we added earlier. Here I have a very simple server that returns some HTML and makes calls to the database to get all of our products and handle creating and deleting products. And here we can see for inserting a new product that we must pass the query and any arguments. And we can use positional or name parameters. Check out the docs to learn more. Now if we visit our app in the browser, here we can see we have a form to insert a new product, set the price, and once we submit that form, that calls our backend, which then updates the database with our new product. And also for deleting products, we call that action, which then passes a statement to our database with the ID of the product that we want to delete. That's the SDK approach, but what if you're using a language or framework that doesn't have a client library? No problem. Bunny database works over HTTP, so you can query it with a simple fetch request. Let me show you how that looks. So here I am inside of the terminal where I can make a simple post curl request. The first thing we'll need to do to our database URL is to replace libsql with HTTPS. Then at the end, we can add /v2/pipeline. We'll need to add our authorization bearer token, and then in the body of the request, we can pass some JSON data. Inside of our JSON body, we'll need to pass an array of requests, and the shape of these requests differ based on what you're trying to do. Here we'll want to execute some SQL and at the end close out. Here we'll insert some data, make a query and close the connection. Then once we're done, here we can see an output of all of our different requests. And inside of the results array, we can see the response type for each of our requests. Here we see for the first request, we got OK, the second we got OK, and then we get an OK for closing the connection. Be sure to check out the docs to learn the shapes of all of the different request types, including the baton and when that should be used across requests. That's Bunny Database. SQLite compatibility, HTTP access, and it just works. You've seen how to create a database connected to a simple frontend and make raw HTTP requests. If you're building something that needs a lightweight database without the ops overhead, give it a go. Links to everything are down below. I'll see you in the next video.